Welcome inside beautiful John Paul Jones Arena, where the Who You Got crew is back yet again to break down the Virginia Cavaliers matchup with number 7 Duke on Leap Day. That's right, February 29th, the Who's are set to square off with their longtime foe, the Blue Devils. I'm here with AP, Stephen Mallozzi, and Lauryn Nilson, here to talk about what the Who's have to do in this must-win victory, a must-win game. So first, let's kick it over to you, AP.
All right, I know we're all thinking it, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it, and that is that Duke is not invincible. They just allowed 113 points in an embarrassing double overtime loss to an unranked Wake Forest. They have lost both their games on the road lately, and they're just battered up, bruised, and confused. So that presents UVA with the perfect opportunity to get a resume-building win for the NCAA tournament. But in order to do that, the Who's are going to have to limit turnovers. They've struggled with this all season. We even saw it this past weekend against Pitt. And against a team as skilled as Duke, they cannot afford to make those kind of mistakes. Other than that, if they can keep communication up, keep the ball moving to create disruption, they can weaken Duke's defense, and I think they could stand a chance.
Stephen, how about you?
So there's no questioning the significance of this game here. Duke is third currently in the ACC standings and looking to make a push towards the top. Meanwhile, UVA looking to secure their spot as a tournament team. Now, the biggest battle in this huge matchup isn't going to happen on the floor. It's going to happen from the sidelines. Duke's Coach K and UVA's Tony Bennett are two of the best coaches in D1 basketball. Coach K, known for coaching prolific offenses year in and year out. Currently, Duke's offense sits at third in the country, averaging 82.6 points per game. Meanwhile, Bennett, more known for his gritty defensive style, currently leading the Who's to the best defense in D1 basketball. Now, there are a couple of other side notes to consider. One, Duke has lost 2 of their last 3 games and looked very vulnerable defensively, allowing 79 points in regulation to the ACC 8th best offense, Wake Forest. However, UVA's offense has struggled all year long, but they have been starting to hit their stride recently. So there's a lot to consider here, a lot to unpack in this huge game.
Well, you said it yourself, UVA the top defense in the ACC, Duke the top offense in the ACC. Lauryn, what are you going to be looking for?
So I do think it's worth considering the relative rigor of Duke's schedule. They've played 4 ranked opponents, and they've suffered 5 losses this season, 4 at the hands of unranked teams. And as AP pointed out, they lost brutally to Wake Forest. I think it's important for Tony Bennett and the Who's to know that they do not come into this game unarmed. They have been hot shooting recently. The three-point shooting has increased with every game. And going down the tournament stretch, UVA has only continued to improve with their winning streak recently, and Duke has only continued to get more sloppy and more inconsistent. So I think in order for UVA to have a shot tonight, they need to bring their A game, and they need to come prepared to fight tooth and nail.
Final thoughts. AP, who you got?
You know, UVA hasn't beaten Duke at home since 2013. Now, that's a pretty tough record, but it's Leap Day, anything can happen. So I think the Blue Devils are going to have to fight their way through some court-storming fans again at the end of this one. I got UVA.
Lauryn, swing it over to you. Who you got?
Well, there's a sold-out stadium at JPJ, so we know that the fans have come ready. The question is, will the Who's be ready? And I think if the Who's come ready, I believe the Wahoos will leave with a victory.
Well, 2 optimistic takes from our first 2 members of the panel. Stephen, who you got, my friend?
I came into this thinking I'm going to take the Who's, but then that painful loss to Wake Forest happened. And now I think Duke's going to take the cake. I really cannot see Duke losing 3 out of 4 games. And they have not lost back-to-back since February 3rd and February 8th last season, when they lost to St. John's and UNC back-to-back. And quite frankly, I just don't know that UVA, again, just like I said with Louisville, has the firepower to match Duke. If UVA is to win this game, it would take an incredible shooting night from Ola Tensai and a mistake-free, turnover-free evening from Kihei Clark. But in the end, I still think the Blue Devils take home.
Well, It pains me to say this, but I've got to agree with you. I think the Demon Deacons woke up a sleeping dog, and that's not good news for the Hoos. Talk about Kihei Clark. He thrives at the charity stripe. I don't think he's going to get there much. I think Duke is going to play a clean game. They're going to clean up the mistakes that they made. Too many penalties, too many turnovers versus Wake Forest. And you point to that offense, which is no doubt prolific. I'm not sure that the Hoos have answers for guys like Trey Jones. Or in the paint, Vern Carey. He's a big guy, 6'10", 270. I'm not sure who the Hoos have to match up against that. And although UVA's defense is formidable, so is Duke's offense. And this is now a must-win game for the Blue Devils as well as the Hoos. So with that said, I think it comes down to the wire. I think Duke may be able to get it done here yet again at JPJ. For all of us here at WUVA Sports, thank you. And be sure to tune in to cheer on the Hoos.